Today's world, I see a lot of converts that, Baruch HaShem, are amazing, but once in a while you see ones that are like off. They're very angry people. They're upset that Am Yisrael is not all Moshe Rabbeinu. They're upset that everyone is not excited and celebrating the coming of the Mashiach any day. They're upset that everyone is not as zealous as them, but it gets to a point where they start hating Am Yisrael. They start becoming self-hating people. And this is very dangerous. So, one of the most important things that we're reminded by Rosh Chodesh is that HaShem has His own timing. And His timing is not always the same thing as our timing. If you look in the book of Exodus, Parashat Bo, Parashat Bo, chapter 12, we see that Hashem Yitbarach gives us the mitzvah of Rosh Chodesh well before we get the Ten Commandments, before we get Shabbat, before we get all of 613 mitzvot, we get Rosh Chodesh. What's the big deal? What's the rush? What's such a big deal about this Rosh Chodesh? Beginning of a month. Wow. That's the mitzvah. That's the first mitzvah you want to give us. Maybe you want to give us Shabbat. Shabbat's the foundation of the Torah. Chazal says a Jew that doesn't keep Shabbat is considered 100% an idol worshiper. That's a big mitzvah. Give that number one. Why don't you give Brit Milah? Brit Milah, that's one of the covenants. Give tefillin, give kosher, give tarat mishpacha. If a woman is not willing to keep tarat mishpacha, the husband is not only allowed to divorce her instantly, but she doesn't get the ktubah. Tarat mishpacha, without tarat mishpacha, there's no marriage. Why don't you make that the first mitzvah? No. He says here, Rosh Chodesh. Why Rosh Chodesh? So Chazal explains to us that in the times of the Greek persecution that we had, Yimach Shemam v'Zichram, they, unlike the Romans that were trying to destroy us as people, the Greeks were trying to purely just destroy the religion. They even told us, listen, we'll pay you money to leave Judaism. We'll make you governors. We'll make you politicians. We'll make you whatever you want. Just stop being Jewish. We didn't listen, so they started forcing us to do it. And by forcing us, they made us stop keeping certain mitzvot. They outlawed a few mitzvot. One of the 3 mitzvot that they decided to outlaw is the celebration of Rosh Chodesh. So the Greeks knew some Torah here. They weren't just ignorant people. They decided to outlaw Rosh Chodesh. Why outlaw Rosh Chodesh? Because Rosh Chodesh is a reminder that everything has its time. Even though Hashem told us to celebrate Pesach, He didn't say just celebrate Pesach whenever you feel like it. He said it's Chag HaAviv. It has to be in the spring. So you can't just decide to celebrate Pesach in December. He said Shavuot has to come 7 weeks plus 1 day after Pesach. You can't just decide to celebrate Shavuot on the 3rd day of Pesach because you're so excited and zealous. Or celebrate Shavuot 6 months after Pesach. You can't just do Hanukkah in the middle of the year just because you feel like it. Everything has its time. Why does everything have its time? Hashem says, you need to connect to me the way that I know is the best way to connect. There's certain times of the year that require a specific type of connection. There's a daily connection that you do with going to pray every day. You have Shachrit, you have Mincha, you have Arvit, you have maybe perhaps your own personal prayer that you do if you do Bodedut or any personal prayer. But that's your daily. On top of it, you have your Limud Torah. Anytime you learn, you connect to Hashem. You have your day-to-day stuff. According to the Ben Ish Chai, if you study Torah on Shabbat, it's worth 1,000 times more than the Torah you study on a weekday. Ben Ish Chai, Shana Shniya. This is a very special day. But he says, even then, it's not Pesach. It's not Yom Kippur. It's not Rosh Hashanah. That has a different time. That has a different time. And you have to know that that time, Hashem put it there for some reason. So when the Goyim, the Greeks, decided to remove Rosh Chodesh, what were they really trying to do? They're trying to remove the Hebrew calendar, the biblical calendar, because they knew that without us celebrating the holidays at a specified time, we can't celebrate them. Which means that we can't have this connection with Hashem Yitbarach. We missed the whole connection. Judaism, Hashem Yachem, is gone. And this is the reason why Hashem decided, he said, before I give you the details of everything that you need to do, all the mitzvot, all the halachot, all the wonderful holidays, all of the everything and anything, you have to know rule number one. Kol davar beito. Everything has a specific time. Now, why is this so important to us, even on a day-to-day basis? We're not celebrating Rosh Chodesh every day. Because you see, many times people get very, very upset when Hashem doesn't dance to their tune. They did Teshuva 6 months ago, they already think they should become Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, and Eddie Lampert all in the same bank account. On top of that, the many Moshe Rabbeinu, and married to the greatest human being that ever lived after them. Why? Because they see keeping Shabbat 6 months. And if everything doesn't work out that way, like, I don't know if this religion thing is working for me. First and foremost, you have to understand, Hashem doesn't work for you. It's a very, very important rule to know. He does not work for you. He's not here to serve you. It's the opposite. You're here to serve Him. Second of all, just like He had patience for you for 30, 40, 50, 60 years until you finally did Teshuva and finally started keeping one real mitzvah, and He didn't kill you like He was supposed to according to His Torah. He said, yes, and someone's bechal Shabbat, mot yumat. Could have killed us a long time ago when we did the first Chilul Shabbat. But He gave you more times and more time and more time and more time because He knew that at 36 years old, you're finally going to do Teshuva. At 56 years old, you're going to finally do Teshuva. So He gave you time. Now you're complaining about Him after you only giving Him 6 months? So we have to adjust our clocks a little bit. The second and even more important thing is to understand that Hashem has a different clock than we do. Meaning that He's only going to give us what we need, when we need it, and not necessarily what we want when we want it. And there's a very big difference between the two.
Let me know what you think, and make sure to share it, because other people need to learn too.